Hello everyone, very good evening. Welcome to Oliveboard. My name is Varsha Ma'am, and today, as it is Friday, we are having a government affairs session. And in this session, we are going to cover the news articles from 16th of August till 22nd of August. Right? So the aspirants who are there in the session, please let me know that my voice is clearly audible to everyone and the screen is clearly visible. Am I clearly audible and visible? Yeah. Please let me know that the voice is clearly audible and the screen is clearly visible to everyone. Yeah, I had done some changes for you guys, so I'm expecting that most of the students will let me know that the things are quite fine today. And all right, so let's do our today's discussion. Let's talk about it. Just a second, let me check sound one. So here we go. We have to discuss the current affair events that happened in the last week. That is from 16th of August till 22nd of August, and we are going to discuss some relevant news article. There are so many different things happen, but we will cover the one that are important as per our examination of you. Okay, so let's continue. Let's start our discussion. Here we go. First thing that you have to do, you have to install the application of Oliveboard and register yourself there. And aspirants, you can connect with me on my Telegram. There also you will get the classes related information so that you will be in the you will be in the regular classes and you can start your preparation with us. Okay. Here we go. This is a batch for NABARD Grade A. You can be the part of this batch and start your preparations with us. So here we go. Let's start our discussions. So on 16th of August, there was no such relevant news for your ARD portion. Similarly, on 17th of August, there was no such news. On 18th of August, there are so many news articles that are important for examination that we have to discuss. And these, why we are discussing these news article, because these portions will be used to form a good base for your descriptive answer writing if you're preparing for NABARD Grade A examination, right? So here we go. First thing is reduction of greenhouses gases emission. So yeah, we are observing that there's a lot of changes, climate change issues are occurring. We are suffering from global warming and other issues. Okay, what's the India take in this direction? So we have to discuss about all these points here. So our country is a part of United Nations Framework Convention on Climate. Okay, India being the part of this convention submits national communication and biennial update report. So our country submit this national communications and biannual update report, the report that released in 2 years, like once in 2 years. Okay, so that is a biannual report to the UNFCCC on a periodic basis. Okay, now these reports, so what are the important points that are mentioned in these reports? So these reports include an inventory of the national greenhouse gas emission, like how much greenhouse gases are emitted from our country based on relevant intergovernmental panel on climate change, intergovernmental panel on climate change, IPCC guidelines for national greenhouse gas inventory, right? Now, as per India, so this time India's present fourth biannual update report. Okay, so as per India's fourth biannual update report, which is submitted to United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, net greenhouse gas emission in 2020 were 2,436.7 million tons carbon dioxide, and as per third national communication submitted to UNFCCC, net greenhouse emission in 2019 were 2,646.6 million tons carbon dioxide and other gases. So with this value, what you can say that we had reduced, okay, our efforts are noticeable. our efforts are noticeable, and we are working in this direction that the carbon dioxide and greenhouse emission has reduced to a certain value. Okay, now moving further, yeah, the, there is a one important point that I had mentioned here in red color, just to have your attention here. The state level greenhouse gas inventories are not required to be submitted to UNFCCC and hence not prepared by the government of India. If you have this question or query in your mind that do we need to work upon the state level reports? No, the government is not working on preparing any state level inventories of the report because it is not to submit to the UNFCCC, and that's why not prepared. Okay. Now moving further, another important point government of India has taken. So yeah, we are working in this direction from the time this Paris Agreement was signed. Conference of Parties held in year 2015, and there we targeted that we have to reduce the greenhouse emission, and from that time onwards we are releasing our reports, we are producing our reports showing the data that yeah, we had uh, we had reduced the carbon dioxide or greenhouse emission reduction in a considerable level. Okay, so government has India has taken several initiatives. So in this regard, to reduce the greenhouse gas emission, our government has taken certain initiatives to combat greenhouse gas emissions across the country. Okay, to reduce the greenhouse gas emission across the country, and the government is implementing. So, and with this, government has implemented National Action Plan on Climate Change. National Action Plan on Climate Change, which is the overarching framework for climate action. Okay, so whatsoever are climate actions or we need to take to combat with this issue of greenhouse emission, so these action plans are in this specific direction. Okay, see aspirants who are there in the class, please comment below that the voice is perfectly fine, like it is like as usual we are having the good voice in the class, right? Voice is okay to everyone now. Now this National Action Plan for Climate Change, so there are different missions are included under this action plan, like the national mission in solar energy, enhanced energy efficiency, national mission for like for field like water, agriculture, Himalayan ecosystem, sustainable habitat, Green India, human health and strategic knowledge on climate change. Okay, so different missions related to these different specific areas are included under this National Action Plan on Climate. Now, another thing. Uh, let's talk about another important point in this direction. Like, what are the another point that you have to focus upon? Just give me a minute, please. So, what comes here? Let's talk about it. Yeah. So as climate change is a cross-cutting subject, the missions are implemented by respective line ministries and departments. So different ministries and departments are related with the implementation of this mission. In like National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture is there, National Mission in different directions, and uh, different ministries are working together in these directions. Now, another important thing, 34, all the 34 states and union territories have prepared their state action plans on climate change in line with National Action Plan for Climate Change, taking into account the state specific. So, it's about the nation. So, as a like all the states are having the different terrains, all the states are facing the different kind of issues because of the climate change. So, there is a need to work upon the specific strategies specific strategies prepared by the different states. Okay, so all the states and the union territories have given their strategies, given their action plans, so that we together can work to deal with this greenhouse gas emission or the climate change related issues. Okay, now, another important point. Now, we know that climate change is a global collective action. Why I'm discussing all this? Because in the upcoming slides, I'm going to tell you about the different acts and different regulations in this regard, and the different wildlife and life forms which are affected by these greenhouse gases emission or the national action plans. Okay, so you need to do this particular session because I had prepared the notes or the important lines I am including here for your revisions, for your this subject knowledge. Okay, so climate change is a global collective action problem mainly precipitated by excessive historical and current emissions. We know that we are considered as a developing, not contributed much in the greenhouse gas, but still we are taking step in this direction because we had signed a MOU during the COP of Conference of Parties held in the year 2000. Okay, so India's share of historical cumulative emission, if we talk about like how much greenhouse gas we had emitted, so if we talk about our historical values, our carbon dioxide emission or the greenhouse emission is less than even 4% of the global cumulative carbon dioxide emission, despite being home to more than 17%. Like if we talk about our population, our country is having a population which is 17% of the world population, but our carbon dioxide historical value is even less than 4%. But still, we are taking efforts in this direction because India is an emerging economy. Okay, we are an emerging economy. We are working in so many advanced sectors. So, hopefully, the carbon dioxide emission or the greenhouse emission will increase in future. Like we are taking certain steps to work on zero emission policy, but okay, where greenhouse gas emissions are set to increase, albeit from a low base in pursuit of development and eradication. So that's why we had started working, started taking efforts in this direction. Because as we are emerging economy, so chances are that carbon dioxide emissions will increase. Okay. Another thing that India's responsibility for global warming thus has been minimal. Like we are not responsible for global warming. Even today, its annual per capita emissions are only about one third of. Okay, this is an important point. And despite this, India is committed to addressing climate change with firm adherence to multilateralism based on the principle of equity and common but differentiated responsibility, respective capabilities as enshrined in the we had one session in the, I think, July, where we talked about this thing, like the principality and common, but differentiated response. Like all the countries, like whenever we talk about all in a collective manner, all are responsible for the global warming. But how much you are contributing towards this direction? On that basis, you have to take effort. Okay, so this is a specific policy or a specific factor or a principle that is enshrined in United Nations, is about principle of equity and common but differentiated responsibilities. The countries who are having the maximum emission, they are having the maximum to reduce it. Okay, but all are considered equally. Like the person, like the individuals or the countries who are basically working on to becoming the largest economy, so definitely there will be chances that emission will be high, right? Because there is no legal framework mandating companies or firms to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. There is no legal framework, but still several entities and organizations, they are voluntary doing like they are at zero emission. Okay, there is no such legal mandate that they should not do, but they are working voluntarily in this direction. Okay, another is, and government has also taken certain steps in this direction, like we have the eco club. So eco clubs, what they do, they organize, they work upon activities related to environmental awareness. Okay, these activities are taken in schools and the colleges to aware the our coming generations about the environmental improvements, inculcate the culture of eco-friendly and environment conservation among them. Apart from that, we have certain missions, campaign in this direction. Have the World Environment Day on 5th, Harit Diwali, Swasth Diwali, to aware the individuals about the and how we can take measures to reduce the environmental related issues. Okay. Another important point is green good deeds. What is it? It's initiated by the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change, Eco Clubs. Now we are moving on the next news. Okay, this news is important to talk about. Let's talk about it. So here we have National Action Plan on Climate. Okay, let's talk about the National Action Plan. In the last, we discussed about the like how we can work upon that we can the greenhouse gas. Now we are particularly about to discuss about the national climate. So key programs linked to climate change include efforts to enhance. There are different efforts we are doing that we fight with climate. Like we are working to climate resilient and infrastructure coastal flood drought effect. There are certain where the possibilities of disasters or are quite high. So in that areas we are working enhance the climate resilient housing and infrastructure facilities, specifically in the coastal areas, flood prone areas and drought affected regions. Okay. As a part of National Action Plan on Climate Change, National Mission for Sustainable Habitat, okay, aims inter alia to build resilience of city climate change impacts, strengthen their capacity to bounce better from climate related. Is it clear to you? You might have seen like how the established drainage. We know that cloudburst and the natural calamities like volcanoes are quite common. We cannot take specific measures to prevent ourselves completely from these. Okay. So by considering these kind of unpredictable or unforeseen natural calamities, we are working on this factor. The need to build resilience of city climate change impact, and there's a need to strengthen their capacities. We can emerge out in a better from this climate related if this happen. Okay. Another thing, yeah. Another is national. One is a national mission for sustainable habitat. So this is the information related to national mission for sustainable habitat. Now we are moving on the next important. So here we have national mission for sustainable agriculture. This we need to work in the agriculture such a direction that we will implement the strategies that will help in making Indian agriculture more resilient to the climate. Nowadays, we are observing like this is the mid of the August, but we are having rainfalls. We are having the like days with high temperature even. Okay, so what are these? Are the climate. Okay, so when we are noticing this kind of climate change, we need to do some changes in cultural practice. Well, okay, we need to implement certain strategies so that our agriculture, Indian agriculture, can like give better results in this more changing climate even. Okay. Next is, for example, we have certain schemes and the programs in this direction also, so that whatever the resources which are available to us for our agriculture practices, we will use these resources in a more efficient manner. Under this, we have one program that is per crop, more crop. So what is this scheme is about? This scheme is related with the modern irrigation, where we are talking about how we can increase the water use efficiency at the farm level. We are talking about the micro irrigation technologies. Under this, we are trying to get better results if so we are having the limited supply of water. So this is about per crop more drop. Another is a rain-fed area development. We know about there are certain dryland areas or certain arid regions in our country are completely depending on rainwater. They have, if we aware the peoples or we demonstrate the people who are living there who are completely depending on rainwater for this, like what are the practices or the measures they can adopt, like the rainwater will be utilized. We are like we will aware them about the rainwater harvesting technologies. If we can like this particular scheme will also promote the integrated farming system so that their productivity will enhance and risk associated with climate variability will be reduced to a good level. Okay. Now another thing, so government has taken specific steps in the different directions, like we talk about the national mission for sustainable habitat, national mission for sustainable agriculture. Similarly, to conserve our biodiversity hotspot, how many biodiversity hotspots are there in our country? Is there anyone who can tell me about this? How many biodiversity hotspots are there in India? Yeah. how many how many biodiversity hotspots are there in India? Aspirants, there are 4 biodiversity hotspots. Okay, and government has implemented several measures to conserve the biodiversity hotspots. So the names of the biodiversity hotspots are Western Ghats, Himalayas, and Northern region. Okay, our Andaman our island to enhance community-led conservation. Okay, so in this direction to protect our wildlife hotspots, to protect our biodiversity hotspots, government has there is Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate work in the direction for the establishment of national biodiversity, state biodiversity, union territory biodiversity under the Biological Diversity Act 2000, the declaration of 50 biodiversity sites, creation of biodiversity management committee, preparation of people's biodiversity. These are the different steps taken by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. This other thing, another important point to mention. Yeah. So let's talk about it. It's very important. There are so many important points. The National Biodiversity Strategy and Action in line with the Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity by adopting all of government, all of and the updated, if we talk about the updated national biodiversity comprises 23 national biodiversity targets along with 100, okay, and it comprehensively. So if we talk about this action plan, which is particularly associated with biodiversity, national biodiversity, this comprehensively addresses education, sustainable use, benefit sharing, and emphasis protecting terrestrial and marine areas, restoring degraded ecosystems, reducing biodiversity threats. Okay. Now, additionally, the plan emphasizes active community participation, biodiversity governance to ensure inclusive and sustainable outcomes. Right. Another important thing, let's talk about the another important is that what are the other another important is that here we have India's 4 biodiversity. Okay, there are 4 biodiversity. Okay, and in the Himalayas, talk about the one of protect here is snow leopard. Okay, so there is a snow leopard project. Okay, there is a wild Himalayan wildlife and the recovery of Hangul, musk, the Himalayan monal that have been initiated as part of hotspot conservation. hotspot under this particular planner. That projects, we have projects like this to conserve the hotspot areas and the populations that are residing in these hotspots. Okay. Next we have ministry has notified. So in this specific manner, ministry notified eco-sensitive zones around national parks and under the provision Environment Act 19. Okay. We have the Environment Protection Act that was enacted in the year 1900. So under this Environment Protection Act, we talk about the national parks and around the national parks and the wildlife specific area where you can found the wildlife eco-sensitive. It is eco-sensitive. Okay. And there is a need are declared to create some kind of shock absorber for the specialized or other act as a, so that this zone will act as a transition as of high protection. Okay, because whenever we talk about the national parks and the wildlife wild population biodiversity, there is a need to have a uh, some kind of shock absorber for this specialized they will be these eco-sensitive areas. There are of some the Hanu Taluka, Mahabaleshwar, Panchagani, Matharan, Bhagirathi, Poon Valley. Recently, last July 2025 compilation, July 2025 compilation about the Doon Valley. Okay, about the national has rejected some project we discussed now. If you are aware about it, okay, and there are total 120 ecosystems has been notified in the biodiversity system. Okay, now now how many biosphere reserves are there in our country? Biosphere population residing in biosphere. Okay, and how they are protected? Like some nearly 12 biosphere reserves are under the World Network of Biosphere Cultural Organization. The remaining 6 biosphere under the consideration. They are under it and they are under the consideration. This is important. Okay. And we have the Wildlife Protection Act, which was enacted in the year 1970. But it provides for notification national parks, community for the protection of wildlife and its habitat. Okay. Another thing. So government is taking specific steps in all these directions so that our wildlife will be okay. So we talked about there how many biosphere reserves are there total? There are 18 biosphere. Okay. How many that particular biodiversity hotspots? 4 biodiversity. Talk about the National Action Plan on Climate Change. Talk about the habitat sustainable agriculture. We talk about unless we have the specific projects for snow leopard, angul, onal, musk deer, and all. Okay, and whenever we talk about all these projects, all these programs related to environment, there is a specific thing that I am about to mention. That Environment Ministry for Climate Change, Environment Ministry for Environment, Forest and Climate Change provide financial and technical assistance to the state governments and the union administration under the centrally sponsored schemes like Project Tiger for protection so that the elephant populations, their habitats, their corridors will be protected and the possibilities of human animal conflicts will be reduced to a certain level and to take care of the welfare of captive elephants in the country. Other than that, recently we talk about Asiatic lion sunset data related to. In one of our session, I think in the May or the June of 2020, talk about the population level. Here in this session, I'm going to talk about what. So last time, the all India tiger data was collected in the year 2000, and as per the data of 2022, the estimated number of tigers is 3,682. As compared, like when it is compared with the data of 2018, it was 2,907. It is compared with 2014 data, so it is 2,220. So with this, is it point clear to you that all India tiger estimation, it, this is performed after a gap of 4 years? After a gap of 4 years. Okay, please mention this point in your notebook. It was performed, this All India tiger estimation was done in the year 2014. After 2014, it was in 2000, and after that, it was done in 2000. Now, after 2020, will be it will be estimated in the year 2020. The latest data about the all India tiger population is of the 2002. Is mentioned or not? It is okay. And to conserve tiger, another point. And to conserve tiger, how many tiger reserves we are having? We are having 58 tiger reserves, which are covering 2.5% of the country's Africa. Yeah. Okay. So this is a very important point. Now there are some important points that are very. So here we talk about the government of India through the National Tiger. The government of India through the has advocated a three-pronged strategy to manage wildlife. Wildlife. Okay. To deal with this negative interactions, government of India has through the National Tiger comes out strategy. What is that particular? First is providing medical and logistical support. Okay. So that human wildlife action can be managed by medical logistics to deal with this kind of conflicts, restricting habitat intervention, like the threshold level, it is the efforts to be done to restrict the habitat in, like the wildlife will not enter the human habitat, should not enter in the wildlife habitat. And there are three SOP which include, there is a need to have three standard operating procedures. What are they? One is deal with emergency arising spraying of tigers in community landscape. So still if certain situations occur that the wildlife, the tiger has the human dominated landscape, there should be procedure to arise the emergency, that the emergency, they, okay, emergency has occurred, there is a need to deal with tiger depredation livestock. We are observing that in like all, it's always in news that tiger has entered into an attack on. Okay, there is a need to deal with these kind of regular active management towards rehabilitation of tigers source areas to the. There is a need to do. There is a need to manage like, and even though there is a need to know about the factor why the tigers human dominated landscape. If problem, deal with the deal with the problem, otherwise problem. level, right? Another thing. Is it clear? So this is about the Project Tiger. Project Tiger. Firstly, we talk about the Project Tiger. Then we talk about how many tiger reserves we are having. Then we talk about the population of the tiger and the measures that are taken, that are suggested by the tiger, so that the animal human conflicts can be managed to a certain limit. All right. Now moving forward, we have to talk about the Project Elephant. So when was the Project Elephant was launched? So it was launched, it was started in the 1900s. Aspirants, it is very important you should notebook that all Indian tiger aspirants can be a, okay. And the Project Elephant was started in the year 19 with the objective to protect the elephants, their habitats and corridors, address issues of man and for the welfare of captive elephants. Um, think about the elephants captive. There's a need to manage all the issues that occur of the wildlife conflict. Okay. Another is, and the habitats. Now the question is how many? Why? How many elephants uh, reserves are there in our country? Let's talk about this. So from this data, one thing that latest elephant estimation country was in the year 2000, and before that the elephant population was estimated. So when the data was estimated in the year 2017, the elephant population was 29,900 before, and now the population, and in the year 2012 the population was 29,000, 30,711. We had observed a decline in the elephant population. So with this, one thing that should comes to your mind, that after every 5 years, the elephant population is estimated. Okay, so as per this, in the year we need to get the data of the elephant population, but the latest one that is available to us on the official. Okay, and how many elephant reserves are there in our country? Protect the population or to conserve the population of elephants, we are having 33 elephant reserves. They are established over 14 elephant states. Another thing. So this is all about it. Now let's talk about another. So it's about the Project Tiger, Project Elephant. Now, additionally, the ministry has released guidelines adopting a harmonious address conflicts. Further, the field manual for frontline staff on conflict management. 16th meeting of the steering committee. I don't happen to. Now let's talk about the coastal regulation. So firstly, we talk about the wildlife population. Now there's a need to regulate the coastal zone if areas are not more decrease in the population. So under the, so as per the 2019 coastal regulation, all coastal states are having the coastal boundary update the island coastal regulation plans or integrated island summit of environment for, they will get the approval and they start following. Okay, and if now they had not submitted their updated plans and their plans are not approved, till that they can use a notification, they can use the plans year 2007 as far updated, as far updated coastal region management plans for Karnataka, Maharashtra, and ICRZ for Great Nicobar and Little Andaman have been. Another point is, as per the NSR fourth of the CRZ notification, See, there are certain guidelines that are given to states or the coastal areas that you have to follow so that the coastal areas will not deplete further. Okay, this is that all information. Nothing like I'm just giving you all this information. You should know about the environment protection. Now, this one is important. That's why I'm going to highlight it. So, Central Pollution Control Board has identified how many contaminated sites are across. There are total 103 contaminated sites, and out of which remediation activities have been initiated at 7. Okay. As per the Central Pollution Control Board, 103 contaminated sites are identified across, and remediation work or activity has been started in the 7. The details of the contaminated sites have been given below. The details of these 7 contaminated sites. So it include mercury contaminated sites at Ganjam, chromium contaminated sites at Kania, Kanpur, UP, groundwater contamination in Nagar and Uttar Pradesh due to untreated industrial effluent by several. Mercury contaminated soil at the premises of Hindustan Lever by Kodaikanal, Tamil Nadu. BPCL oil contaminated site at Tondari, Chennai, Tamil. Groundwater in and around the premises. Biorefineries, Ahmednagar, Maharashtra. Groundwater contamination at Affluent Channel Project, Vadodara. Okay. So this is all about certain news articles related with environment, forest, and climate change. Because these are the events are the important happen. And still, if you have we have certain other news articles that we have to cover. All these we cover in monthly compilation. Okay, this is a batch which is available for your verifications on the application for aspirants. A part of here. Now I am ending a session for today. We'll meet in the next with the next topic. Bye bye and